Hi students, today we are going to look at tutorial 10. This is your assembly drawing unit, right? So let's see what are the requirements today. So for 10.1, figure 1 shows that the details of a V-block clamp, right, that is used to hold a cylindrical component for tasks such as inspection or machining. So for the correct assembly, the bridge, which is number 2, is to be fitted on the V-block, which is number 1. The screw is for securing the cylindrical component onto the V-block, and the handle nut are to assist in the clamping. So they want us to draw a correctly assembled drawing of the V-block clamp in the third angle view using the scale 1:1. So then next we need to look at a sectional front view along the cutting plane XX as shown on the end view of the bridge. And lastly, what we need to know is we need to know the hatching infos. Now they give us the hatching infos for the V block. We need to use spacing of 5 with the angle of 135. The bridge is spacing of 4 with angle of 45, so on and so forth. And then we do have an end view from A and a plan view. And next, this is the extra note for us. The screw must be drawn clamping a diameter 16 mm rod. But the problem is they don't give us a length, so we will try to estimate the length based on the V block itself. So that is our assignment for today. Let us now look at how can we settle the assembly drawing. Alright, so if you were to look at the template down here, you can see that we do given you the V block, alright, in terms of the front view and the end view. Alright, we also give you the bridge on the front and the end. Same thing for the screw, the handle, and the handle nut. So based on the requirement, we need to have one piece of this, one piece of this, one piece of this, one piece of this, and also one of this. So then we need to assemble them up. So obviously, for one piece of V block, all right, the bridge will need to be assembled towards the V block, and you can see there's a M8 down here, which this M8 is actually your M8 of the screw. All right, and then of course we do have the handle that will be putting across, all right, wherever the screw is. Okay, and then we have the handle nut to settle the part. So for now, we are going to make the assembly of this. So first thing first, you can turn off the dimension layer. All right, we will just left on this. And take note that in the sectioning, we will try to remove all the hidden lines. All right, so that is what we are going to have today. Of course, this is only for MM9101 purpose. All right, so let's get started. First, we will do a copy for the V block, and we are going to place this block over to here. That marks your start of the exercise, right? So this one, maybe you may need to just move a little bit more. So I will move my base point roughly to here just for the sake of assembling. All right. Next thing, of course, we know that this bridge will be connected onto the V block, and there is a catch down here. So this is the opening, this is the catch. So what you can do is you can bring this and make it to link to here. So automatically you will see that there will be a link up between the bridge and the V block. All right, and we are required to draw a diameter 16 hole down here. So obviously this one we can just delete away just to remove the duplications, and now we can do a 10-10 radius. Right, so diameter 16 requires us to have 1 point, 2 point, and the radius will be 8, and that is your piece. So for here you can draw as a outline, all right, just to showcase what is happening on the rod itself. So again, if you want to make this thicker, if this is looking not nice, you can just thicken the line so it's easier for you to see. Okay, so next thing, like what I said, we are going to remove the hidden line. So this hidden line you can take away. All right, and next we will need to put on the screw onto this part. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to copy this firstly, and we will just move this towards here. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to rotate this such that this is going to turn in a minus 90 degree, so as it is easier for me to do my assembly down here. And now what am I going to do is I am going to move this base from here towards the quadrant point. Since I have already deleted, you can move towards the quadrant point. And this solves your assembly on top. Alright, so obviously now after you finish assembling, you need to do the label, and for simplicity purpose, I will just make use of this center line to go beyond here, and as usual the extension will be 3 mm. Okay, so this is how you do your first assembly. Now let's just move this a little bit more over here. Okay, this is how we do your first part of your V-block clamp. Okay, so obviously we are going to complete up in the 3D view. Okay, so it depends on how you want to do, from the side view first or from all right, and this is in the third angle, so don't forget about that. So now what am I going to do is I will make a line, a straight line, all right, and also another straight line, just for me to establish your meter line. Okay, so this meter line should be 45 degree, all right, and we will goes up as much as we can, and this one will be in your construction line. Okay, so next thing, after we have established this, all right, then we need to start to draw our part, and we know that by default we are going to offset this to be 20 mm from here, all right, and from here. But if you need to have more spaces, you can go for more. All right, you can go for more, and especially given the size of the length of the circle that we don't have, the rod that we don't have, maybe you want to give it more. All right, so for today, this is how we are going to construct our line, all right, and construct our assembly. Okay, so maybe today let's go for more down here. I will just offset by 30. All right, so let's just offset by 30, and this one I will offset by 30, and this one, because of me offset by 30, I am afraid that it is not that long enough, so let's start from here. All right, so this 30, now obviously first thing first, we need to check from the side view. All right, from this side view, what can we see? All right, so from the right view down here, what we are going to see is what we are going to draw later. Okay, this is your V block, and we will need the side view of the V block to help you. And by here, you can just do a copy, all right, and the base point from here, and we need to trace like this, all right, and make sure you do this tracing, and that's all we are going to settle your V block. All right, and here we can just delete off the hidden line. Okay, so for today's explanation purpose, I will make these towards the phantom line or your center line. All right, so you can see it easily. And now we will just need to do the extra lines down here for you to showcase that this is my rod. All right, so let's do a construction line. All right, and I'm going to construction this to here, and this is what I know. And of course, we do have a point down here. So with the length for today, we are just going to make sure that it is a little bit more than what my point is down here. Okay, I will just do a little bit more. So maybe let's give it about 5 mm, for example. Right, and I need to go up to here. And for simplicity purpose, I am just going to mirror these two along the center of the V block. Right, so this is how I'm going to do, and then I am going to make use of the hidden line, the center line. Right, Next, this is the rod that we are going to showcase on it. And now what we need to do is we need to put up the bridge. All right, so for this bridge, just nice that the XX cutting plane has already given to us. So let's make use of it. So copy down here, and we will need to make sure that it is from the center. And now I need to trace to here. All right, so in case if you are worried, you can just put down here for a while first. And now I am going to delete away the hidden line, right? And then I'm going to delete away the hidden line. I'm going to delete away the hidden line. So for here, we are going to move towards the center of, or the midpoint of this V block. So let's move again. So make sure you highlight everything. So move from this base point, we should go to the midpoint of this length. All right. So, or else what you can do is you can draw a center line first. So let's do another method because this is a bit tough for you to settle. So we will just try to draw a center line. All right. So line, midpoint down here. So this is my midpoint. And you know that I will need a construction line from here down to here. And this is where I want to place. So from here, let's just copy this down, right, from the base point down towards the construction. Okay, so then of course I will need to delete this off. These are the extra lines. This off as well, this off as well. So you can just move this, goes up, because we may need to make use of the assembly. All right, and the assembly should be around here. So now we are going to put on the screw again. So this screw, right, now we rotate this. Sorry, we can just do a copy first. All right, and then we copy over here, and then we just do the rotate through this base. All right, so next, now we know that actually this is the screw, and now we have this bridge, all right, as our fixed point. All right, as our fixed point. So this base, this bridge for us is better, and from the end view you cannot see the screw. All right, reason because if you were to see from here, if we were to look from here, this part is being hidden, and also this part is being blocked by the bridge view. So what we can do now, obviously this is the tangent line, we will just need to delete off away, and now we will just move this point towards the center of the rod itself. All right, next what we need to do is we need to trim this away, as this is all being hidden. So this all need to be trimmed, right? And maybe this line we can just delete off. So this is how it looks like from the end view. But the problem is now this is the screw handle. So this screw, it should be looking from the front view, and from the right view there shouldn't be this hole up. So what you need to do is we need to delete this away. All right, and that is your complete screws. Okay, next what we need to do, maybe this one, you can just move it down, move, and here it should be my cutting plate. All right, so this is how it should looks like. And lastly, let's tidy things up. So if let's say we are having this assembly, so all the inner parts you are unable to see, and of course this is your center line. All right, so this is how it looks like for your end view after trimming everything. Okay, of course we haven't finished this yet. We will need to settle this at the end of the day. Right, now next let us try to assemble the handle first. All right, So when I want to assemble the handle, of course this handle and the handle nut are all together. Now let's double check again the dimensions. So I do have a M5 down here, and what my nut have is the internal thread of M5. So obviously this one is going to fit down here with the 6 mm down for the dimension. Okay, so what we are going to do is now we are going to make the handle. All right, we are just going to copy the handle, and you need to make sure that the handle is actually at the center. So let's move this up, right? So the base point, we can just find any base point first. Sorry, let me just do the copy down here. All right, I am just going to copy along here, because why? This is where my screws is going to stand. This is where my screws is going to stand. All right, so I will just trace down here first for a quick one. And now I am going to merge my handle nut towards here. Okay, and now obviously this line is corresponding to the external thread. This line is corresponding to the internal thread of the screw. So let's just move again. Right, so let's just move this. So move from this base to this point, and now we can delete off the hidden line. All right, and now obviously, all right, so maybe let us just match this up. Okay, so now you can see that I have already established the screws. All right, the problem is here, because of this is being tied up together. All right, and now we do not see the inside part anymore because it is being screwed. So now what you can do is you may want to trim this away, trim everything away, all right, and also trim everything away in this way. So next, there is a little bit of untidiness down here. Let's just trim this down, all right, and maybe we need to make sure this is there. Okay, so let's dimension this. This is 8. All right, so now I am going to move this screw and the screw nut, all right, the handle and the handle cap towards the center, and this is quite easy for us, so you can just move. All right, and now I will need to find the midpoint of this one just towards the center. So double check, make sure that both sides are the same. So this is 26 and this is also 26. So they are symmetrical. All right, so this is how you complete your end view. With one exception, you need to trim this off away. All right, so of course, because this is a cylindrical part, all right, so we will need to make sure that there will be a curve down here because it is only with a tangent line. So for now, let us try to move on to make the top view. All right, so for the top view, it's actually quite easy. We are just going to trace whatever the line that we have. So first thing first, our construction line. Let's go up from here towards the top. All right, and of course this line you can just do the extension. All right, so this line will tells you the end of what we have. All right, so of course here also you may want to drag it up, and now this concludes how the top view should looks like. All right, now of course, like what we have learned previously, we should do the tracing. Now let's analyze one by one. So for this length, it is actually on your breech, all right, and the breech is only having a 15 mm width. So for here, what I can do is I will bring this up, right, and this will be my breech. All right, same thing, let us just bring our center point, center line. So here this line will be your center line down here. So this center line, we can just tidy it up. So maybe, all right, I will just put 4 for easier representation and easier visualization purpose. Then can just mirror whatever that I have down here from here to here. to complete up the end of the bridge. All right. Next, what I can do is, now of course this is my length, so let's double check this. So let's trace this up. Now you can see that actually this is sort of my V block. All right. So this is my V block. And where is my V block ends? So let's trace back to the bottom. So my V block actually ends on this line. All right. So this is my V block line. So you can make it to construction. All right. So let's trim this away. And this one, it will be the gap. Okay. And also we can just make sure that this one will goes up. All right. And we can just trim this away. Okay. So here we change back to the construction line. All right. And now, of course, how much my line should be for the V block, the length, it should be until here. All right. Or you can just simply do a mirror. So let's mirror this up. So from this point to this point, don't erase, and you can see your line is up. All right. And from the top, what we can see from the V block is that there will be one line down here, obviously. This is the outline, right? And we also have another line down here, okay? But don't forget, V block, there are 2 points, 1 point here and 1 point here. So we need to make sure that this point should be tracing up as well as the line. And for simplicity purpose, let us just do with mirror. So drag one line, make sure that you change all the rest to construction, and this will be your center line. Now I'm just going to move to 4 down here, all right, and I'm just going to mirror this 2 lines from the center point. All right, so of course here there's a duplicate, you may want to delete this off. Then now let's just settle all this. So of course this is your bridge is on the top, and this is your V block, and your V block is on the bottom. So if you were to look from here, the top view, all right, you can see only the bridge but not the V block. All right, so not the V block. So what you need to do is we need to trim all the inner parts away, all the inner parts away. All right, that is how it looks like. Okay, now lastly, let us just settle the screws. And these screws is a little bit special because even though I have the screw in this manner, but if you were to look from the top view, all right, it is still the same screw. All right, so what you can do is you highlight this one, and now let us just do a rotation copy. So rotate, you rotate from here, all right, you can just do with a copy, and now we are going to copy like this. All right, we can just go straight first. All right, so simple. And then now what we need to do is we will just need to move this towards the center portion. All right, we will just need to move this to the center portion. So let's just move this from the base to this base. All right, now obviously here also you may need to trim it off because that is what you can see the screws from the top. And now you are going to be questioning, what is this? So by looking from the top view of this is just the circle. That's right, because this is the screw, so you can just see a circle on top. So what is this circle size? Of course, this circle size, there will be, you can just make use of the construction line, all right, to create the circle. So let's just make this as a construction. And now what we have is we will have a center radius circle from this point to the center. All right, from this point to the center. And of course, now because this is my all, okay, this is my top, and I have a chamfer down here, so you need to trace the chamfer as well. And this chamfer should be until here. So let's just trace this line. So circle center radius, this is my inner circle. This is how we can establish your screws. But of course, we cannot leave this hanging like this, and this is where you need to extend. All right, you extend this to here, extend, extend, and extend. Right, and this is where we need to control. Why? The reason is because this is the screw that has already come in touch with a circle, and this is where we can see it is different. Okay, so for here we need to project. This is the edge, the new edge for us. So then I am going to drag like this, and this point where it is going to tell you my curvature. All right, so we need to go for a 3-point arc. So I go 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point. This is where your curvature should be, because just now I do this extension. All right, and let's go back to construction. And lastly, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim this away. And now I will just mirror this up. All right. So with that, we have settled the third angle view of the part. And now what we need to do the next is your hatching. All right, is your hatching. So obviously, right, what we need to do now, the next one is to do the hatch. So obviously what we need to do the next thing is the hatch. But before we continue to the hatch, can you see that this is a bit of a mess? All right, so what can you do is we can delete this away. All right, and since that we already happy with what we have down here, so turn off your construction line, we will just do a mirror. So we are just going to mirror this piece. All right, so mirror. Okay, and of course whatever that is happening down here, you need to go extra 4 mm first. All right, and that off, we highlight this up. You can mirror or you can copy. All right, so I will copy from the top towards the base just to clear things out, and it looks nicer in this way. All right, so let us have a look on what we have for the part. All right. All right, so what do we have down here is that we are going to make use of, so we are going to make use of this way, this info. For the V block, we need to have a spacing of 5 and angle 135. All right, so let us check back. So for your V block, all right, so this is your V block, and of course if I were to section along line XX, I will need to have this, right? I will need to have this. So let us do the hatch. So of course hatch, you need to go to hatch line, and now we go to hatch command. The hatch command, so we will go back to user define. All right, and my angle should be 135. So my angle should be 135, and the spacing should be 5. All right, so of course the transparency, if you want, you can use 30%, and it should be by layer. Okay, so we are going to hatch this way. This is my internal point, and this is my internal point. All right, so these two, I done my hatch for the first one. Okay, because this is my V block. Next, let's have a look on the next question. Now my bridge should be 4 mm spacing as well as 45-degree angle. So we have to follow. So where is your bridge? Obviously, your bridge will be this one. So we will just make use of this bridge. Let us just hatch in this way. So hatch line again. So hatch. Now I will go spacing of 4 by 45. All right, and I will just pick this point, and I will just pick this point. So this is how you should check your both hatches. All right. So lastly, what we need to do is we will need to hatch this handle. All right, this is the handle. So let's go back to the handle. This handle tells you I need to have a 1 mm spacing and 135 degree of. Right, so let's go to hatch again. So this is 1. and 135 degree of the angle. All right, so I will just do the hatching in this one because that is my handle, and then I will close the creation. So lastly, what we need to do is we will need to settle off the text here. So you can just go text with multi-text line, and now you need to put out the view label. So this is XX, and of course we are going to go 4 mm, and it should be by layer, and that layer should be your text layer. And you close it. Now we move it to the better place. All right, and we can just hide this off. All right, so this is my XX down here. All right, lastly, I need to do my label. So towards your right hand side, there are two part lists for you. So for today, we need to create this part list, and this part list, we will just use the bottom part list. So now I will just do a copy from the endpoint down towards the endpoint down here. Right, this is your part list. You have to create this up. And for that, what we are going to do is here you need to double click, all right, to check what are all it is about. So make sure that the table is there, the general is by text. So lastly, let's fill in the blanks. So go near here, all right, so make sure you don't highlight everything. We will just highlight the box that we want. Okay, so if you highlight everything, it will be this kind of double click. So make sure you see there's no box that you have. So we are going to input all the numbers or all the items that we have. So the first one, all right, we can just click the first one. Now you go down here. This is called the V block. Make sure it is all in caps, and the quantity is 1, and the material is mouse steel, MS. All right, continue the rest. Number 2, it is your bridge, and quantity is 1, and the material is the mouse steel again. Right, the third one is your screw, and quantity is also 1, and we do have MS here. The fourth one, it should be handle, and the quantity is 1, and mouse steel again. Last one, we do have handle cap, the quantity is 1 as well, and it is your mouse steel. Right, and lastly, we will just run to label. So by labeling, we should always go with the one with terminator. So let's just copy this down. So first one, we will need to label the handle cap. So you need to find the better position to label. So obviously the handle cap is better labeled down here. So you can just click, and you can double click this to change the number to 5. You say okay. All right, so we are going to copy this again. All right, so from the base point, we need to find that this is the handle. And now if you think that this angle is not suitable, you can just drag this and change. And this one, we go to number 4. This is your handle. All right, now if let's say you want to move, so let's copy this again, and we are going to move here. All right, because here is more suitable to show. So now you can just make sure you click this point first. Right, now you may want to move it towards the right hand side, and to label this at here is not very nice, so you may want to copy this one and go down to one of the points. So how to snap this point? Obviously now there's a geometrical snap, so you may want to right click and go to the nearest point. So I will just choose this nearest point. Same thing what you are going to do with here as well. So we move this from this point. All right, I am going to move to the nearest, so you need to override. All right, so this is number 3, which is your screw. Maybe make it shorter. This is number 2, which is your bridge. And lastly, we copy this from here down to here. So again, you need to override, control click, and your left click, this one, put on the nearest. And now we do not overlap, remember, and this one is your 1. Alright, so with that, you complete your assembly. And lastly, don't forget, double click your name. So enter your name all in caps. We'll say okay. So with that, you are done with your assembly question tutorial 10.1.